Hey guys, so I want to talk with you guys today, just maybe one or so last videos on the switch work because, well, on the shadow work part of the switch work. We'll get into the inner child healing in a little bit. And in fact, this video I think is going to help us kind of bring us into the inner child healing a little bit, just so you know kind of what's going on. So we've been talking about flipping the switch, talking about switching it up. You know, you've got a pretty good grasp on that as of right now. You just take whatever your judgment is, whatever your complaint about somebody is, if it's major, even if it's minor, even if you have to say, well, nothing's really bugging me about anybody right now, so maybe I'll just ask myself, frame it in a different way. If I could change, instead of asking, hey, what's up, what's bugging you, what's going on, vent to me, you know, release your emotions, then it's kind of this stage where you're like, oh, well, I'll just, if I could change anything, these are the things I would change. And then you can do it from that way to even find out the minor things, okay? But sometimes you may get stuck, and especially in the beginning, you may not kind of, like, it's just very intuitive, you know, you just kind of, and a lot of times you get going on this stuff and it just happens. So that may happen for you, but if you do feel like you're getting to a point where, okay, flipping the switch is not working for you, and it's not, well, let's go back to the flipping the switch again, just to make sure, again, we're very, very clear about what's going on in case anybody missed anything from any previous videos. Shadow work is basically the process of saying, okay, something's bugging me. I'm going to deal with this right now. I'm not going to postpone it. I'm not going to hide it under the rug. I'm going to deal with it. Sometimes you can go searching for those things. Sometimes they just bubble up and pop up and you just deal with them as they come up, and that's great. So either way, you're saying, okay, what is bugging me about this person? Well, this is bugging me about this person, this situation. Doesn't really matter what it is, okay? It could be even about yourself. Shadow work, you can do shadow work on yourself, okay? So you're saying, you're going to have to, we've talked about boiling it down to make it very universal, very fundamental. So instead of saying, well, so-and-so was saying this and this about me, and then they did this and this and that, like, we can't just flip that. We can't work with that. It's not malleable. We have to boil it down to, like, what are the brass tacks here? What is this person's behavior? Why is it really bothering me? Well, it's bothering me because they're saying this and this and this and doing this and this and this because it's fucking disrespectful. It's hurtful. These are the basic, again, the boiling it down. Okay, they're being a bitch. They're being an asshole. Like, that stuff works. Okay, because then you flip it and you say, well, okay. You say, you can either do it for, it doesn't matter which you do first, really. It's just personal preference. You can say, well, they are doing this. That's what your first, usually it's always going to start out. It's going to be them. Usually it's going to be somebody else. You're seeing something and noticing that somebody else is doing wrong and it's bothering you. So you're going to say, so-and-so is doing this. X is doing Y, okay? So, and this is bothering you. So then you're gonna say, well, they are not doing this. You may at first say, well, that's not true because I just said they are doing that and that's why I'm pissed. Duh, Claire, pay attention. No, okay? This is about flipping the realities. This is about seeing reality as it really is, which is deeper than your egotistical perspective. And I'm not calling you out for being an egotistical person necessarily, but I'm saying that we're all egotistical beings and we're all here to deal with that, basically. So this is part of the exercise. They're doing this. They're not doing this. Okay, that's the most easiest way to start. They're doing it. They're not doing that. This, again, is the first two lines. You know, they're doing it. They're not doing it. And then you flip it on yourself. And then you say, me, I'm doing this. I'm being a bitch. And then you're like, then you process it. Don't just say, oh, I'm not being a bitch. I would never be a bitch. I'm perfect. Right? No. Of course we're being honest and open with ourselves, and even just, like, a lot of times you don't even have to do a whole lot after recognizing it. Because again, everything starts from the mind. It's just the way it is. So if you can flip the switch and change your mind quickly, then it's going to affect your thoughts, your emotions, or your thoughts are going to affect your emotions and your actions and your results. It's just the way that it works. So again, it is this easy sometimes. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, so-and-so's a bitch. You won't even have to go to all four flips, you know, to where they're doing it, they're not doing it. I think as I'm getting more experienced, I don't like to do it the way that I wrote it. The way that I wrote it is you do they're doing it first, of course, and then you do they're not doing it. But I tend to find out that the most common flip is you're doing it. So I actually like to start off with, yeah, they're doing it, I'm doing it. How am I doing the same thing they're doing? How am I being a bitch? If I'm being a bitch, which I am on some level, then how am I going to be upset with them for being a bitch? I really honestly have to forgive them on some level. On some level. Not every level. But it really helps, okay? So you're doing this, they're doing it, they're not doing it. Me, I'm doing it, I'm not doing it, okay? And you're seeing these different perspectives. You're calling yourself out, you're seeing things you never saw. It helps you to understand things happen automatically, usually. Like I said, usually something will happen by that point. If you've gone through all 4 flips, when I say all 4 flips, it's flipping it the 4 ways. You're doing it, you're not doing it, I'm doing it, I'm not doing it. A lot of times we'll see that they're all true. You kind of realize where people are trying. And then you're like, well, sometimes that benefit of the doubt creeps in. Well, maybe I should give them the benefit of the doubt for this right now because I actually do see that they are trying. I actually do see that they are caring, and it's really just me projecting on them that they don't care. And again, that's kind of what takes us sometimes into this deeper level to it, because not every single thing is going to be able to be helped by flipping it those 4 ways. There's like a next stage that you go through if that doesn't help, if that doesn't like solve your problem. So basically, you just kind of go into, well, how am I attracting this in a different way then? If I'm not attracting this by something that I'm, I don't know, like projecting in this way, or if I'm literally doing the opposite, it doesn't have to be to them. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I'm being a bitch to you, but over here, they're being a bitch to me, and it's like, why? It's like your karma from this person can affect you with this person. That's just the way that it works. Be aware of that, okay? But if it's not a flipper, it's usually about your projecting, or your beliefs and your expectations are in some way causing you to believe this. So basically what happens, the bottom line is, if you go through this first part of this flipping the switch and the shadow work, with these dualities, looking at the duality of every little situation, the light and the dark. This is very deep. This is why it's called shadow work. This is why it's called switch work. But if that doesn't work for you, then you go deeper. And it's something that, again, you have an expectation. You're not attracting this situation to yourself because you're doing it in that sense. You're not attracting it because, any of these things, because you're not doing it enough. And sometimes, let's go back to the shadow work. Sometimes if it's something like, let's say you're like, oh, well, they're not showing me enough, affection, or they're not doing enough of something. Well, sometimes you don't just flip it into that. You like say, well, I'm doing something too much, or too little as well. So it can be all over the place. It can be a million different things. But like I said, if it's none of those, you go through and you say, okay, well, how am I either projecting, but I think really expecting. I think really we get these mental scenarios, or, we just get stuck in this expectation way of living. And again, a lot of this stuff happens when we're very small. So again, this is what leads us into more of the inner child healing work. As I've said, they're very connected. Shadow work and inner child healing, it's basically the same process. But that's kind of where you go. That's where you have to go if you don't really get anywhere with the switch work, with the shadow work, okay? If you don't see things in a new perspective by switching it, if it doesn't give you a new feeling or a new belief to help you get to a new outcome, then yeah, you've got to go deeper. And it's probably to the past. You've got to go to the past, and this is kind of like a shortcut. Okay, if you've already done this work, you've started out with your shadow work, this doing it, not doing it, I'm doing it, I'm not doing it is not working. So we're keeping on going. We're going down the path. We're following the flow of the road. And we're saying, how am I attracting this? How am I expecting this? How do I believe? How do I believe this? How do I believe this is the way that I deserve to be treated? How do I believe? Because these beliefs, oh, I'm getting chills. These beliefs are where it all starts. Yeah, positive thinking is great, but positive beliefs are even better. And that's like a combination of your beliefs and your emotions and like what you expect to happen based on the results. It's kind of like your repeated beliefs. Of course, they're going to be wrapped up with emotion. Okay? So we're going to, again, kind of get deeper into the inner child healing work as we go. But I just wanted to kind of talk about this again. What do you do if it doesn't work? If you don't get that much out of it and you still feel like you need to figure this out? Why am I attracting, this douchebag or that situation? Why is it showing up in my life? You remember, I'm like, I get some cards in my hands. Why? How do I believe this? And so then you have to go into, well, why? Like you've designated that it's a belief that you're saying, okay, well, I believe that people are going to always screw me over. They're always going to leave. If that's your belief, bam, you've pinpointed it, hopefully in part by doing some of this work. Let's use this example and go through it together. I just want to be really clear. Again, really boil it down, really simple. So, okay, let's say your belief is that people are always going to leave you. Anytime anybody gets close to you, they're going to leave you. Maybe there's a situation. And in fact, this actually did happen to me. Even though I don't feel like this is one of my big issues, it just kind of popped up. But hey, I'm gonna roll with it and see what I can learn from it for sure. Everything happens for a reason, right? So out of this circumstance that happened, just the way things happened, any best friend that I would have would move. So okay, this thing happens, it makes you feel a certain way. Then it keeps happening. So again, this is your belief and expectation now. This is what life is bringing you. For whatever reason that brought you there, I don't care. That is what is going on, okay? But so now we do want to deal with what brought you there, But now we need to go a little bit deeper. Why do we think this? Why do we expect this? Why? Because it happened? Just because we have that belief and expectation that came out of that event does not mean that it's valid. It could be a portion in time where that was just happening astrologically. It could have been, something was going on. Say it was 2008 and then there was this recession and whatnot and people were having to move a lot. Or, it could be anything. But the fact is we like to internalize things. We like to assign, it helps us with our just world hypothesis to have a cause and effect. And it doesn't always serve us, obviously. So sometimes we have these erroneous thinkings, erroneous beliefs, and using the switch work is a way to get you into the point where you can have a starting point for your shadow work and your inner child healing. So I'm going to cut this video off so we can make this more of a shadow work, and then we're going to go into the next video getting more into the inner child healing. So again, I hope you guys are getting something out of this video. Please communicate and let me know, thumbs up, how you feel, all of that good jazz. And like I said, I just really hope that I'm helping. It's like my #1 goal right now. So let me know how I'm doing. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.